Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now read up by Disney, or current Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it. Legends. And today I have for you the grand finale to the epic and long 19-book epic, the New Jedi Order series. With the epic battles against the Yuuzhan Vong finally coming to a close, I bring to you Star Wars The Unifying Force by James Luceno, book 19 in the New Jedi Order series. To be honest, I'm not going to tell you too much about non-spoilers wise, because you know what? You need to read this book. This book is really good. It's the conclusion to these 19 books. Even if you skip some of them, which I know some people do for some reason, and you decide, I'm only going to read this one, and this one. This is an essential viewing. It is the end to a very long journey that I have been on, and it is fantastic. A fantastic conclusion. One of the best books in the entire series. Of course, it has to be its finale, otherwise we'd be kind of disappointed. And, overall, a really fun time. This is the grand finale. Everybody comes together. Everyone we've seen is together. In this book, finally, we have a big confrontation, a finale. We have, more Jedi heroes, along with, the original trilogy people like Han and Leia, Mara Jade. No, she's not the original trilogy, but she's basically part of the original trilogy team at this point. They're all on Coruscant, or Yuuzhan Tar, but goes back to Coruscant by the end of this book. Because they're not going to lose. It's Star Wars. So they're there. We have, our other heroes like Talon Card and Lando Calrissian and Wedge and Tycho and Kip and Jag and Jaina, and they're all doing stuff up in the sky and stuff. Well, Jaina's actually down on Coruscant for this one, but we just finally close this 5-year conflict and bring an end to a new, seemingly peaceful era. Until, of course, it's not. And you think, this is the happy ending, finally. Just like, it honestly kind of feels like the Hand of Thrawn duology. It's like, this is the end, this is happy ending. But there's more to go. Maybe it's not a happy ending. At least it is a happy ending here. But there's more to this story. Everything I want to talk about spoiler-wise, I will say in my spoiler section. Rest assured, you will enjoy this book. If you've enjoyed any of the New Jedi Order series, you're going to enjoy this book. And if you haven't read any of the other books, then I don't know why you're here listening to this review. But yeah, if you've been enjoying it, it is a worthy finale, and I think you'll enjoy it. But without further ado, I'm going to get into spoilers, so if you don't want that, it's time for you to get out of here. So, they're 4 years into the war, but it's been 5 years since the book started, because the official war didn't begin until a little bit, like a year later. That's just a little note I wrote, just to know, exactly how long it's been. I just wrote down a little something that Han said near the beginning of the book with his wife, Leia, of course. He said that he had no yearnings but to be with his beloved partner. I just really like that, because, again, I've seen a lot of relationships in the expanded universe that I like, but no one can ever beat, not Mara and Luke, not Jag and Jaina, not Cornhorn and Myrax. No one can beat Han and Leia. They are the best couple in all of existence. Kyle Katarn is mentioned yet again. It was really nice to hear about him. I believe he's only mentioned because he's a video game character. I believe he will actually play some sort of role in Legacy of the Force, though I'm not certain. But that would be really cool. Harar's alive! I thought he died in the last book, but no, he's alive, and I really like him, so I'm glad he lives. Mandos! Oh, that was a really cool scene. So, Han and Leia, there's other people too. I don't remember exactly who was with them, but they're at this station place, and Vong are coming, and then the Mandos, Boba Fett and his Mandos show up, and they're helping out. It was just really cool to see the Mandos kick some butt because they've been absent for these entire books. So, unless you count the short story by Karen Travis. Vong. Oh, right. So we learned that the Vong were apparently stripped of the Force. That they did have it at one point, but got stripped away from them. Kind of like how Verget stripped away the Force from Jason for a bit, which was probably a huge, gigantic hint that I should have thought of, but I didn't. But yeah, so that was super interesting, and that will come back later when we have a big with Supreme Overlord Shimra, right? Because he's the big bad, definitely. Yes. Anyway, till we get there. So, of course, the big plan of this book is they're going to finally take back Coruscant. This was interesting. I don't know if this is important in the slightest, but I wrote it down because it was interesting. So Luke has a vision of Ben. Older. But Mara's not in the vision. Legacy of the Force did not come out yet. But is it just a fluke? Is it just in case they didn't win against the Vong? Or is it because something will happen in the future? I guess we'll have to keep reading, and you'll have to keep watching my reviews to find out about that one. The planet Cancer, which is Alpha Red, which they bring back, which Luke was like, no, don't do that, and then they did it anyway. It's convenient for Han, though, but because since it's been affecting the world, they, try to scare you. Han gets, hit by an amphistaff, but he survives because the toxin isn't strong enough to kill him, because the planet's dying, which affects all the biological stuff that they use. So it hurts him, but it doesn't kill him. Luke and Jason have yet another discussion on the Force. I just find it interesting. I love how the Force gets questioned and then, re-understood. It's still the same, but it's even Luke gets a slightly different perspective on things. And I just enjoy the conversation that they had. I don't even exactly remember how it went because that was like, 300 pages prior to what I just finished, but it was good nonetheless, from my memory. The living planet finally reaches Coruscant. Well, I wrote Yuuzhan Tar, but it turns back to Coruscant, so I'm just going to call it Coruscant for this book. I wrote down Nominor is better than Shimra. Just in terms of, Shimra's, built up, although the future revelations prove my not really caring for Shimra. There's a reason for that, but even still with that revelation, Nominor is still the greatest villain to come out of this entire series. There is no, definitive Vong, right? There's no Emperor Palpatine, there's no Darth Vader, but there is Nominor, who seems to show up in almost every book and gets away. Except for maybe here. But I love it. It's like those political things that you see in shows like Game of Thrones and Babylon 5, and I've said that before, but he's such a slimy little bastard. And he knows how to manipulate, and he tries to get power and get where he needs to be. He needs to make sure he survives. He needs to make sure he's able to do what he can do, and screw anybody else who gets in the way of what he needs to do. I love him. I love every scene that he's a part of. In fact, I'm kind of upset that there won't be more to see of him, because I love his character. Was he a jerk? Was he a terrible person who probably should have died? Yes. But I loved reading about him. He's so fun. I don't know. He's the most interesting Vong to me out of all of them. Oh, this was really freaking... They did my boy. I know he was getting old, but Akbar dies off screen. It's a book. But it's kind of mentioned, oh, he's dead. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. I really like Akbar. He's just dead now. Well, that's a thing. And then Shimra's craze, which I thought was just Shimra being stupid, but there's more to that. Shimra being crazy turns Namnor back to the prophet, Yusha, because Namnor has no loyalty. He flip-flopped because he went, well, Shimra's going nuts, so I'll go help the heretics and see what I can do for us Vong. Not gonna work out for him, though. Very next note. The entire scene with Mara beating the ever-living crap out of Namnor. Very satisfying. Very much deserved. And I thought he might legit die there, but he did not. Because Mara is not of the dark side, so she lets him live. But he does whine and beg like a little baby to survive, because he's lived amongst, these races in this Star Wars galaxy for so long that he values his life and doesn't want it to go. So, as I said, I love him so much. He's such an interesting character. The whole final section, the whole big final battle before the reveal of who the real Overlord is. I really enjoyed it. I just really enjoyed the fight scenes. Really enjoyed, Luke and Jason and Jano working together. It's like a trio of the Force to defeat an enemy. We learn that Omni, who is Shimra's familiar, like Verge was to the Elan or whatever, the girl Vong. He kept experimenting on himself, and it somehow reversed the effects that had happened to the Vong, and he was able to use the Force. And so he's been manipulating Shimra this whole time. He's been using his Force abilities to make Shimra do his bidding. Since the very beginning, since he overtook the previous Supreme Lord and took over and brought the fleet to this place, it's all been Omni's plan, which recontextualizes so many scenes now that I'm thinking about it. He's always saying his cryptic stuff, but is pretty accurate. He's always around, and Shimra lets him speak his mind and doesn't treat him like a disgusting piece of garbage, except for when he starts near the end of this book, where he starts kind of retaining himself again. Why? Because it's him in control. He just makes so many... Now whenever I go through the series, I'm going to be like, well, Omni's the big bad, so where can I see this being hinted at? It's such a good twist. I love it so much, and it contextualizes so many things that happen, because I kind of just shrugged it off. I'm like, well, he's a different kind of Vong, I guess. He's kind of like Namnor. He views things a little differently because he doesn't like the gods. He thinks they're jerks or whatever, so he just sees things slightly differently. He still thinks of him as a loser, or whatever, still thinks of him as a shamed one, but lets him talk. But no, it's because he was always the one in control. So I really liked it. Goodbye, Namnor. Namnor realizes that, there's no helping the Vong, that there's a new era coming. And he refuses to be a part of it. So he goes up and lets the heroes leave, but he goes and dies. So no more Namnor for us. Tear, tear. I had to go on a second page, I know. So nearly the end of the book, they just kind of quickly mention that 365, that's right, 365 trillion death toll for this entire war that took place over 5 years. 365 trillion. I can't even fathom the amount of lives lost. I mean, I know this is fake, but put your mindset, like, what if that was real? That is a lot of people dead. That is insane. It just shows, like, how big this event was. All the people who used to be rogues or smugglers, they all have a drink together. I really enjoyed that scene. It was Han, Lando, Talon Card, Booster Tarek. Am I forgetting somebody? I might be. But Wedge and Tycho also show up. And it was just a really nice scene. I enjoy them interacting with one another, and I thought it was really cool. R2 and 3PO have a scene together. I really enjoyed it. You know, they are the best of friends as droids, and they've been through so much together, even though R2-D2 remembers more than 3PO does, but I really love that relationship. And I also like at the end how he mentions, like, what do you mean when we did this? What are you talking about? Because there's stuff that happened in the prequels that he doesn't know about. So, and I do really like Jag and Jaina together. I like Jag and her and their relationship that they have, and I think they eventually get married because of the Fell Empire in the Legacy comics, which we still won't get to for a long time, but I'm excited to see their relationship grow, and I really like them together. So, Pelion and Leia and Han, they have a cute moment too, because if you remember, way back before I reviewed the Thrawn trilogy, I reviewed Tatooine's Ghost, where Leia finally comes to terms with her father being the Dark Lord of the Sith, and realizes that there was also a young boy named Annie who lived on Tatooine. And that's what finally makes her, or finally gets her to the point where she's willing to forgive her father, and she's finally willing to have kids. And she has Jason and Jaina, and then a year after, or something like that, has Anakin, who she names because of those events. But in that story, she was trying to obtain a piece of art that got taken by Grand Admiral Thrawn. Even though we never actually see him in that book. Only the Chimeras mentioned. I think Pelion has like a couple speaking lines, but they take the they take the picture, and it's an Alderaanian picture. And, you know, Alderaan's gone, and apparently Leia saw that a lot when she was a little kid, and it has a lot of sentimental value. And Pelion just gives it to her as a gift of this new era. And I really like it. Some people are like, we should just stop at the end of the Thrawn duology. Why? The Empire's still separate from the New Republic. Yeah, they have like a peace treaty, but they're not super duper friends. They're just kind of not going to attack each other anymore. This makes it so now not only are they neutral, like they're not going to kill each other, now they're friends and allies, and I really like that, and I think it's really cool. And I love Pelion, of course, so of course I love that scene. And then we reach the end of the book, and they go back to Kashyyyk, and Han says some things about Chewie, which is really nice. And Han takes Anakin's lightsaber, stabs it into the tree. It says only when somebody is as worthy as Chewie is can someone remove that lightsaber. And it ends with things seeming pretty happy. But of course, we still have more adventures to go. But as of now, things are looking up. A long war has been fought. Many lives have been lost, friends have been lost, families have been lost. Lots of death. But it's a new era. A different world that we're going to embark in. With new allies and stuff. I just wish it could stay happy. But it will not. But if you want to find out more about that, you'll have to see me in my next review in the Darkness trilogy, starting with the first one. I don't remember the title of it, but it has a green cover and Han's on the front, and it's written by what's his name, Troy Denning, who will be very important for the remainder of all the big story arcs. So I hope you join me for that, and I'll see you in the next video. And may the Force the unifying force be with you all. There's a lot of nuance I missed, but it's fine. Go read the book, you dummies. I'm just kidding. I love you all. Anyway.